Hey guys, as I mentioned in my, my Reddit post and like in the description, I had like a POV for an occultist for the same build that I posted earlier with the Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice cast on crit, and so now I've kind of hopped on standard and I've more or less thrown together a character that more or less works the same. It's only level 91, so there's quite a lot of damage missing. I don't think it would get too much more yes, but with like some better gear and some better, I don't know, like jewels and stuff, I'm pretty sure we can get the ES to maybe like 11k, and that would help a lot. I'm also currently missing the ES on hit Watcher's Eye. I think the optimal way to go is definitely get an ES on hit Watcher's Eye and play a Claw. And then as soon as you get the ES and life gain on hit Watcher's Eye, then you can swap to the dagger. I just went and bought a dagger and just started using this. The positives is that the Imperial Skein has higher crit chance than a Claw does. That's like the main downside of using a Claw, is that your crit chance will be lower, making it a bit more difficult to crit cap on your Cyclone. But because it's not an issue if your Crown of the Inward Eye has a +1 power charge. This one doesn't, so we're definitely missing quite a lot of stuff here. All this gear is very meh. The boots are awful. These are just 15 CDR boots. That's all these are, and like a minuscule amount of ES. The Shavs is the more or less ideal. You want +1 socketed gems, so you don't have to get it an awaken cast on crit level 6. So you can hit the breakpoint with 15 CDR boots. It's probably going to be the most expensive part, is getting that plus. Well, no, getting a +1 Shavs is not that difficult. Since Shavs are just not as great as it used to be. And with corrupted, with the, how do you say, the Scourge currency, it's pretty easy to get it 6 linked and then the right colors. The only thing on here that's like special is the Spirit Shield, which is Legacy. It has Legacy quality, so it has a shit ton of extra quality, but like the rolls under dog. So it's not even that good. It's just a big shield. You can make a better one on like Pharecia. The rings are nothing special. They are just res to fix res. The nice part about going Occultist is that your Chaos res is super easy to cap. You just need one Amethyst ring with no Chaos rolls, or just any type of ring with Chaos, and you're overcapped because of Withering Presence plus Presence of Cheetah, giving 120% Chaos res. Then you just need a bit of Chaos res somewhere to cap out. Mageblood, obviously, to hit the 10.1 attacks per second. The tree is probably not super optimal. There's probably maybe some better pathing here. Maybe going down here, pick up this ES wheel. Energy from within with this could give a lot of ES, but otherwise it's more or less a copy paste of the Scavenger tree. But we're using 2 clusters because we don't have enough access to jewel sockets, so we're dropping the repeaters for these. The nice part is that we don't have to go Whispers of Doom, because the Cultist gets access to an extra curse and also hexproof, which is nice. That you can affect hexproof enemies. If you want to go Whispers of Doom, you can actually go Profane Bloom, and then I would get a Despair on hit ring instead of your cast from damage taking ring. Obviously your Despair will be worse, but it would be way better for mapping, which just make everything explode and stuff. It would be really cool. So we end up taking this instead. Force of Darkness. This is like one of those new prismatic anoints. It gives 15% chaos band. It is by far the highest DPS increase. Makes sense. I have not even taken this chaos wheel here. This would make this a bit worse, but even with this like taken, this is like the highest DPS anointment. Otherwise, there's also Culling Strike, was another one. Just getting like enemies marked by you have Culling Strike. I think it's this. is like the second highest one. So you can either go Marked for Death, which is way cheaper than going this. Depends on like what the price of prismatic oils are. On standard, they're like 3 div each, so that's pretty expensive compared to the rest. Yeah, other than that, there's nothing really too special here. We need the 3% CDR jewel. This one's much worse than the one I have on Pharisha, but I could not be arsed to keep alt spamming. Nothing else is really special. Like, the clusters are really bad too. I just went for the ones that mattered: the attack speed and chaos damage, and overwhelming malice to get unholy might for wither. And here again, the attack speed plus touch of cruelty. This is pretty easy to roll, and in the final setup, you're going to want all 3 notables anyway. So this is what I would do for your budget start. I would just take these. But I mean, if you're not running Mage Blood, then maybe you don't need these, because then you'll probably have the attack speed you need with Tides of Time anyway to hit 7.57. Yeah, then we have Invasion per int, Insta Leech. So yeah, what I've more or less realized from playing this is that you do have trouble with the damage you take without the ES on hit Watcher's Eye. So I genuinely believe that going Claw first until you can get the double life and ES gain on hit is probably the play. You just forego the spell damage on the dagger and whatnot, that extra damage that it gives you. Anything else? Not really. I think that's already it. Nothing else here is really special. We have, again, the ailment immunity through Storm Shroud over here. Pretty simple, avoid being shocked on a Mage Blood Flask. And again, with Tides of Time, you would just go Purity of Elements and then just go triple flask with Elemental Max Res. Is probably actually just, it would probably almost be, again, I think that build is completely comparable. The only difference is that you just do less damage, but then that also means you do less damage to yourself, which means the build kind of survives more in certain situations. So it's, again, Mage Blood just allows you to do more damage. It doesn't actually make you tankier per se. We have 31k evasion, pretty decent. Pantheon is exactly the same, don't do anything different. So to show the build, I'm just gonna do a quick Elderslayer. This is pretty vanilla here. It's not like any crazy mods or anything because we're elements immune. They'll just take a bit less damage because of the spell suppression, but other than that, everything else doesn't matter. Oh yeah, my gems are not completely leveled. Like my Forbidden Rite's only level 17. This doesn't matter that much considering like the damage comes from like your ES anyway. But it does mean like it costs less life to use. Other than that, my Vitality's not maxed either, so I have less regen. My Discipline's only level 19, so that we're missing a bit of ES there. Flesh and Stone's not maxed, so we're taking a bit more damage. My curses aren't maxed. There's quite a lot of stuff still missing here. Oh, I also don't have a Corrupted Blood immunity jewel, sadly. But is what it is. It was just too much of a pain to get it from anyone on standard. People just price shit way too insanely high for no reason.
Time to up the stakes.
So, think the build has like 20 million DPS with what I have right now. One of the things that's really nice though about Occultist is that all the increased AoE you get from your power charges is actually, it helps with overlapping the Forbidden Rite hits from the individual projectiles. So this one actually is probably, the DPS on this build is probably more accurate than the one on the Scavenger, because the Scavenger doesn't have any increased AoE at all, like anywhere on the build. Like there's just none. So that probably matters a lot for the build. And like just making more of your projectiles hit. There isn't even an argument. There's also an argument to be made that I think for Forbidden Rite is that greater volley is actually not good. In that you actually take that less damage penalty there on it is actually not worth it. You should just go regular volley. So you get two additional projectiles with a lower projectile penalty, because you're only overlapping those two anyway, those two extras, and the other ones don't actually ever overlap. So it'd be like 10%, because like the extra two projectiles wouldn't even hit the enemy. So this is actually 10% like more damage. No idea. I'd have to test it with like some golden rule, poison reflect to see how much it actually overlaps. Because like if we do like here, the problem with this is that this doesn't actually tell you if they're not overlapping or not. Like here, obviously none of the projectiles are going to overlap at all. Let's cast quite a bit so we actually get our power charges up, so you can actually see like the AoEs of it. So, and let's do a quick little swap to this, because here you can actually see the AoEs much better. So like here, when we throw them, the only way I'm getting power charges from the spending 200 mana Occultist Ascendancy. So I have to spend. Alright, so as you can see here, like by just chucking them, like we're hitting like at most like 3 overlaps here. But the thing is that Forbidden Rite targets, like it doesn't just chuck the projectiles anywhere. Like it will target more directly onto the enemy that's like closest to you. So there's probably more overlaps going on here than what we can see, but there is a chance that maybe regular volley is just better. I would have to do some golden rule testing again and make sure I deal like 0 damage and all that kind of stuff. Basically, you'd have to like throw in like a brutality support to make it deal 0 damage, and then you just do golden rule poison reflect. Then the poison gets reflected to you, and then you can see how many hits you actually, made. But yeah, this is just more like a proof of concept, just to show like the build post Pharisha will actually be playable, which is really cool. I think because I think this is a very fun build to make work, and I probably will play it again as an Occultist, especially when I have more more currency and more people to actually trade with, so I can actually get the gear that I want. But because I just cannot be arsed to go farm bases and stuff in this game. But other than that, yeah, just wanted to show the build off a bit.